Hello, good people. It's Rob Lee. We're going to do a video today. We're going to look forward and then we're going to take a moment to reflect back. It's been a year since I did my first video. I started last year on December the 25th, 2016. I joined YouTube on November the 7th of 2016. And I spent the first 7 weeks just surfing and seeing how things work. Mostly what I saw was a bunch of liars. So it's been a year for me, and it's been good. I think the Father has blessed me, and I've been able to meet some wonderful people. I've been able to help some people, to show some people some things that maybe they didn't know before, and it's also been incredibly hard. It's hard not for the serpents and the shields who work for Google, but if you're truly a child of the Almighty Father, you have to battle the devil, the Google. You have to battle all the monsters along the way. On top of that, with my wife being sick, diagnosed with Graves' disease, autoimmune disorder, plus having a stroke, then my cat had a stroke just 8 days ago. Then on top of that, I got hit with kidney stones just a couple of days ago as I was working. It's been a lot of spiritual attack, a lot of physical attack, and I never told you guys this before, but somebody drew a pyramid with a snake's tongue on the bumper of our car. This was a couple months ago. I never said anything about it because I don't complain, and I figured if they had a pair, they would have knocked on the door and they would have told me, look, I got a problem with you. And I don't ever expect anybody who ever tries to come to hurt me to do that. They're just not, because I would like to remove their head, and I'm telling you, I'll dribble it down the street. I'm not looking for a pity party. I'm not looking for anything. You can pray for me. I'll pray for you. Forgive me for cursing, cussing. It's one of my weaknesses. There are children on this earth, man, who are laying in hospitals dying. There have been children and men and women who have been forcibly starved to death. In the Ukraine, in the early 1930s, the children of Cain starved around 30 million people to death. It's hardly even talked about. And even now in this country, in the Appalachians and in some of the cities, there are children that don't have shoes, clothing, adequate heat. Elderly people go without medicine, so you don't have to feel pity for me. Really, I'm not looking for pity. But what have we accomplished? Well, on my channel, we've looked at demons, devils, real life spiritual beings that have taken flesh form. And we know that they exist in spirit form, but I've tried to show you with the best of my ability that they exist in a flesh form. We have looked at immigration, and we have learned it from the Bible that immigration is the flood. It's the flood of Revelation 12, and it came out of the mouth of the dragon, the devil, the serpent, to destroy you. We have looked at codes and numbers and letters. I've tried to teach you about 33, the 33 and 13, and so many numbers that stem from it, and how to look at an article, a video, and look at the occult symbols and the numbers to be able to tell if someone is genuine or not. I've told you that most of what you see on the media, Tell Evil Vision, and even on the internet now is theater. It's theater. That's what it is. We've looked at the earth, and some of my videos, and all my videos have been censored. I'm going to tell you why all this happened in just a second, but let me stay on point. We looked at some of the structures on the earth, which are 10, 15, 20, 25,000 years old, and yet they tell us that the earth is 6,500 years old, which is mathematically impossible. There's no way you could have billions and billions and billions. We have 8 billion now, not counting all the billions that have perished. There's no way this happened in 6,500 years from only one man and one woman. This is fantasy. However, I want to tell you why I have been censored and how this all started. For the first 3.5 months on my channel, I had the 107th. I want you to think about this, and I'm not boasting. I had the 107th, and a woman named AP, All People, All Gifts, she actually went to Social Blade and looked it up. In March, I had the 107th fastest growing channel on YouTube out of millions. Now that's pretty damn impressive. In April, I mentioned pedophilia. I mentioned the Star of Moloch, which is what's on the Israeli flag. I mentioned just started talking more heavily about Jesus Christ. I started to talk about more things. As I did this, finally, and this is at the same time when Google was going through their process of they're going to label, again, anybody who's a true Christian, you are going to become radical, a terrorist, a hater, all that. You're a dissenter. So since then, I've had to battle them constantly, and it's even now. I have a strike. They could hit me with another strike, and I could be down for 2 weeks, or they could just terminate my channel. I've put it in the hands of my Almighty Father. That's the way it is. That's the truth. And we've also learned a lot about scriptures. I don't claim to be a Bible expert because there is no such thing. Man, the Father teaches us line upon line, precept upon precept as He chooses. How I've always been taught is I pray, and I let my Father teach me. I pray a lot. It's a huge part of my life is prayer. And we still have mountains to climb. And fortunately, we still have a channel. The Father has blessed this channel. I'm still here. And the most beautiful thing is reaching people and making friends. That's been wonderful. I wouldn't trade it in, man, for anything. I want to say something to you, and I hope this doesn't offend some of you, but I really want you to think about what I'm going to tell you. For those of you who, some of you have a stunted growth, and your understanding of the scriptures and of what's going on. And I've talked to some of you because I probably have talked to 200 of you on the phone. And I have friendships with you, man. It's wonderful. But some of you, you're stunted spiritually. I'm not saying it's all your fault, but some parts of the Bible, you're just like, it doesn't make any sense. I can't make heads or tails of it. To understand this earth, and I've tried to teach you this as best I can, to understand the world that you live in, to understand the Bible, you must understand Genesis 3:15. It is the foundation of the Bible. When the Almighty Father said, and I quote from your Almighty Father, that He would put enmity, hatred between the serpent seed and the seed of the woman, man, this is not symbolic, this is not spiritual, this is a literal biological fact that your Father is stating, that there are two seeds, two families upon this earth that will be fighting forever. Now, before I go further, I would like in the coming year, God willing, if I'm alive, if we're all still here, I would like to teach you more about these families because there's actually more than two. But these are the two that are mentioned in Genesis 3. Then you go to Genesis 6 and you have another group of fallen angels. Well, who are these fallen angels? Are they the same as Genesis 3? We'll get there. It's not what you think. And many of you have led yourselves to believe that God has put us here, whom many of you call God. I simply call Him Father, whether it be Yahweh, Yahweh Shua, it doesn't matter. Same thing with Jesus, Yeshua, Yahushua. The truth is, if you really wanted to know what the most accurate form of His name is, would be Yahuwah. And this is going back to the ancient, this is going back to the Aramaic of what they were called back then, the Yehudi, the people of Judah. This would be the closest to His name, Yahuwah, and then if Yahuwah saves, it would be Yahushua. But it doesn't matter. I simply call Him Father. That's what works for me. Jesus. I've called Him Jehovah, Father. I've called Him, hey, I need you. I mean, that's just the way it is. He knows when we're talking to Him. Anyway, I don't want to get off point. But as we go further and we learn more and more, this is important that we understand what 3:14 and 3:15 actually means. And the Lord God said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, and this is not a talking snake, just like there was not a worldwide flood, it was a localized flood. Now, there may have been a flood way, 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 way back, hundreds of thousands of years ago, because this earth has been here that long and maybe more. I have no idea. But I do know it did not happen 4,500 years ago, like many so-called Christians want to tell you, because Egyptian and Chinese culture went right on through it. So it could not have been a worldwide flood. There's no way that you could have a worldwide flood and wipe out everybody but 8 people, Noah, and then get off and procreate. It's fantasy. And this is why people make fun of the Bible and they laugh at it. But that's not what the Bible teaches. That's what serpents teach. And I would like to go further with that. Now, this serpent is not an actual snake. He's a being that fell from heaven. How he got there is what I would like to show you as we go further, because it's not the way you think. It's not. So this serpent is on his belly. What does that mean? That he, and for what he did. Well, what did he do? He seduced Eve. He beguiled her. Eat of the tree. What does the tree mean? Well, the tree is symbolic of people. I mean, if you would just read the Bible further, the tree is symbolic of people. So Eve had to mess with a people. She had to commit a sin that had nothing to do with this. Eventually, we'll put it all in context, and you'll see what it actually is being told here. And why did the Father teach it like this? Because Jesus Christ told us why the Father taught the way he did. Jesus Christ taught in parables because he said, I don't want them to understand. Now, who was he talking about? He was talking about the Pharisees. He was talking about the beings that had followed true Israel, our people, from Babylon. And he did not want them to understand what he was teaching. Let's go to number 15. And I will put enmity, which is hatred, between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. The serpent will bruise our heel, the heel of the family of Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ will inevitably bruise thy head. It actually will crush thy head. Jesus Christ will put the serpent and the serpent's children, he will crush them with his feet. This is something that we're going to have to learn more about, because this will help you to understand the world that you live in, because it will never really make sense to you until you can really understand this. Now, this war, today, this conflict between these two opposing factions of Genesis 3:15, we're reaching the grand finale of the ages. And remember, it was your Father who placed his hatred between these two seed lines, and no amount of false love and misplaced pity will ever alter that fact. Your Father did it. So you can listen to the devil and he can tell you to do this, to do that. It doesn't matter. Your Father's word is there. It's going to stand. This age-old warfare will never end until the second coming of Jesus Christ, when the head of this serpent race is crushed beneath the feet of Jesus Christ. You will not hear this taught in church, academia, or by any of the so-called alternative media. They're simply not going to teach it. But this is the reality of the world that we live in. I want you to think about something here. Just give us some thought. And I'm trying to put you down or anything like that. I just want you to think about something before we get to these videos. And we're going to look at what's inside of the box. We're just going to peer in here. When you open up a pack of Marlboros, and many of cigarettes who have they're full of symbolism to mock you. So you take this pack of Marlboros right here, and when you pop the top, you're smoking the devil's pyramid, because when the top comes up, it comes back, the capstone is peeled back, and you look inside, and you see 20 cigarettes, right? What you actually are looking at are demons, destruction. Because that's what they're there for. They're there to kill you. So when you take the capstone and use all these monsters, and they're throwing up the pyramid and the diamond, what they're trying to tell you is, when you pull that back and look inside, you are looking at beings that are trying to kill you. And this is what I've been trying to show you for 1 year straight. This is what they are. They are demonic monsters. And I'm asking you, why would you give one crumb of your hard-earned money, your soul, your health, to these monsters that killed Jesus Christ? Why would you do that? And don't tell me that you're weak. Don't tell me that you can't quit. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm not telling that you don't have to live in this world, because you do. But I'm telling you, you have to give as little to the beast as possible, because you cannot sit down with Jesus Christ and tell him how much you love him and then go fornicate with the devil. You simply cannot keep doing it. You got people going the wrong way, and just a few of us going right way, and we pass one another constantly. We have the truth, people. The question is this: are we going to accept it or deny it? Now let's symbolically go to the video, and symbolically let's open up the pack of cigarettes and see what we see when we pull back the capstone, because each one of these individuals is symbolic of a cigarette that's meant to kill you, that's meant to bring you to destruction and cause you to be deceived and to end up dead. That's the truth. Enjoy the video. God bless you all.
A new world order, when we are successful, and we will be.
First, we Americans are going to have to yield up some of our sovereignty. That's going to be, to many, a bitter pill. Today, we must develop federal structures on a global level to deal with world problems. We need a system of enforceable world law, a democratic federal world government. Most important, we should sign and ratify the Treaty for a Permanent International Criminal Court. Pat Robertson has written in a book a few years ago that we should have a world government, but only when the Messiah arrives. He wrote, and literally, any attempt to achieve world order before that time must be the work of the devil. Well, join me. I'm glad to sit here at the right hand of Satan.
To remember that we are followers of Jesus Christ, and his life, humanly speaking, ended in failure, the failure of the cross. And his life, humanly speaking, ended in failure, the failure of the cross. To remember that we are followers of Jesus Christ, and his life, humanly speaking, ended in failure, the failure of the cross. And his life, humanly speaking, ended in failure, the failure of the cross.